Hey everybody, so we are on part 15 of What's on the Shelf, and in this particular cubby I have some Dungeons and Dragons books, Dice Forge, Star Trek Catan, Chronicle of Crime, and Dungeons and Dragons Adventure Begins. So I've actually never really played Dungeons and Dragons, but at some point both of my sons had shown interest in it and wanted to kind of get their Dungeons and Dragons dice, and my friend was selling these books, so I got it for them because I'm really big into anything that'll get them into board games and off the video games. So they both had been reading these, so I'm not sure how that's going, but I got them just so kind of trying to promote that. The next game on that cubby is Dice Forge. So I played Dice Forge a long time ago at a friend's house, and it's a neat one. So we bought our own copy not too long ago. Now Dice Forge is a very neat game. First of all, just the whole tray, like the way that it's all put together, it's really well thought out. In this game, you will be going around doing different. So on your turn, you can either activate an action on the board, or you can purchase a new face for your die. So each player have two dice, and you can actually pop out the sides and put a new thing on it. So every round we roll the dice, and depending on what is on there, what you can do. So if a resource comes up, you can take that resource and add it to the track that you're keeping track on it on your own board. So, and then when you do some actions on the main board, you can spend those resources to get different things or to do different things. And then so you want to start adding different things on the sides of your dice that'll give you better resources. There's even a part that you can do like a ×2. So when you roll the dice, if one is a ×2 and then the other one is 2 victory points, well then you get actually to do that twice. You would get 4 victory points. The game is really nice to look at. It's very pretty. So this is a player tracker board that you have there. So each of those dots will keep track of how much of the resource that you have. Eventually you will max out of resource, so you can't get any more than what the board will allow, but you can, in one of the special action, go get an expansion, like an extension to your board, so then you can collect a little bit more. The bottom portion there with the green, that's where you keep track of your victory points. The top row there is the gold one, and then you can actually get a card that allows you to spend goals into acquiring extra points instead of collecting the gold resource. So those are different things that you can do as you play. And then this is a picture there of the main board. So you move your token around depending on what actions you want to do, and if somebody ever moves you into a place that you were, it sends you back into the main board, but I think it allows you to do an extra roll or something like that. So then that's pretty neat. So you get the different cards that you'll put at each location, and there's extra cards, so it can change up a bit from game to game. When you go to that spot, spend so many resources that you've been accumulating to obtain the card, and the card might give you special abilities that you can do, or it gives you access to some resource that like a one-time collection of resource or victory points or different things like that. It's a neat game. It's cute, and then the popping up the side of the dice, kind of crafting your dice, making it so that they give you better stuff is pretty neat as well. And there's another picture of it's all set up on the 3-player board there. And yeah, like the whole tree and the whole thing and the way it's organized, it's well thought out, and then the organization in that game is very neat as well. Next game I have in that cubby is my Star Trek Catan, to go towards my Star Trek game collection. So this one plays fairly similar to Catan. The main difference is, well, the board looks very different. The resources are all called different things. It's more space themed as well. You also get some player cards where it'll give you an ability. So for example, I think it's Captain Kirk will make it so that the robber won't affect you. But if you utilize the card, you can switch from the A side to the B side to utilize it a second time, or you can swap it out for another different card. So you don't always get to keep that same ability the whole game. It switches up. And then with this one, you kind of build a little space station, and you have little enterprises that are going to be your roads that connects everything together. And then otherwise, it's pretty much the same as regular Catan. So each planet in this case will give you different resources when the dice is roll, and if you have your space base touching it. It looks really neat. The components are very neat to look at, and then you have those little space base, and then if you want to turn it into the city, then you kind of add a little cap on top of it, so it looks like a little bit of a more intricate base, and then that'll be like as if you have a city. And then it's the regular Catan roll. If you get up to 10 victory points, then you are the winner. So we've played this one quite a few times, and it's a very neat one. Next one I have in that cubby is Chronicle of Crime. So I like the deduction games, the exit, the unlocks, the whodunit type of stuff. So we got this game, and I was playing it with Lee actually, and I loved it. It was so good. So with this one here, you got a crime that's explained to you, and then you got to go to the scene of the crime, and then it's an app-based game, so you scan the QR code once you get to that location, and it shows you who's there and what you see, and then you can actually look at the scene of the crime, and you kind of take note of what you see. Well, there's a weapon there, so you would pull out a weapon card, and then you notice there's a book on the floor, so you could pull out on the ground, like you can pull that out, and then you look around, and there's a purse, so you would kind of pull a card that has that, and then you can scan those cards to look at those items closer. And then you can say, okay, well, this person here, so let's go talk to this person. So you would scan that character card to have a conversation with them. But then once you're talking with that character card, you could then scan the victim card to talk to that person about the victim. And then he'll tell you what he knows about that. And then maybe you can ask about the murder weapon. So while you're talking to that person, kind of scan the murder weapon and see what he has to say about the murder weapon. So it's so well thought out, and it's so neat the way it's all put together. And then you can, have access to the coroner, so you can go scan the coroner. It says, okay, well, we did the, autopsy on the victim, and this is what we've discovered. And then you'll kind of learn things about, while talking, is like, oh, actually she lives here, so now you can go to her apartment and see what you can find there and look at the scene there. And it's so cool. I love it. It looks great. When I played it, Lee was like, oh yeah, no, it's okay. And I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to play this with you. I want to play with this with somebody who's going to think it's just as cool as I am. So I've been saving this one for my sister or my friend Branding. I've actually played a couple rounds with my friend Branding. It's a neat one. It's definitely a neat one. I really like this. This game definitely appeals to me. And then I know that they have the Noir that came out, that kind of an expansion to that. And then they have the 1200, 1400, 1900, I think, like different ones that will kind of add on to that as well, that have like their own cards. But the app will also have extra scenarios that you can access through the apps with the cards that already comes with the game. So lots of material to go through, and I'm really enjoying this one. I can't wait for the pandemic to be over so I can play this one a lot more. So this one here, Chronicles of Crime, great game. Next one I have on that cubby is Dungeons and Dragons Adventure Begins. So my youngest son came across this one at school. They were starting to play D&D at school. He has some friends that would do the DM and that sort of stuff, and he wanted to do more of that, but wasn't kind of really confident on being the DM. And he had asked me, he's like, Mom, can you be my DM? And I was like, I never played Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, well, not really. But then we came across this one, and he's like, oh, please get it. And it's, if the kids are going to show interest in the game, I'm getting it. The neat thing about this one is each character will get to pick who they want to be. If they're going to be like a mage, or they're going to be a barbarian, or different things like that. So you're going to get a little board that's going to hold all of your characters on there, and then you build up your characters. So you have the middle portion that you're going to put up that shows who you are, and you can kind of select from both sides and what your special abilities are and what your stats are. And then you can add 2 cards on either side of that character that'll give you, it's like, okay, well, I have access to these spells, or I can have access to. So you build your character kind of like when you play in D&D, but it's definitely a more simplified version of it. And then when you've kind of built your character and you got that all set up, you put the map together so that it kind of creates this zigzag pattern there. And then at the end of the first 3 map, there's a slightly bigger monster that you're going to be battling at the end of those. And then at the end of the 3rd map, or the 4th map, is the big boss monster that you're going to be battling. So we played this one a couple of times, me and my son, and it's cute. Definitely simplified version of playing a Dungeons and Dragon type game, and it kind of promotes role playing a little bit, right? So whomever does the killing blow on a monster are supposed to kind of do a description of how the monster died and what you were doing. And, it's like as he grasped for his last breath, and so it's kind of neat to kind of promote that a little bit. And then we've had a good time with it, so it's a neat way to kind of get more into it. So that was the last game in that cubby. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, my Facebook page is Disbury Area is playing all the game, or I am also on Instagram under boardgame_mama. So thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I hope you guys take care.